but now it's time for Peter Range and Say Yes to Life. Interestingly enough, our word for today, yes, and of course, we say yes to life, but Peter, there's so much more involved than just saying yes. We need to defend that thing that is important to us as well, and I know you're going to share a bit about that today with us. So welcome, Peter Range.
Hey, good morning, guys. It's just such a great day to be alive. The sun is shining here in Northwest Ohio, and you just simply can't beat that. Thanks for having me on the show this morning. Appreciate it. And yeah, you're absolutely right, Dave. We got to be willing to kind of articulate the pro-life vision. And even myself, I'm the pro-life guy, but sometimes I'll get in an elevator with somebody and they'll ask me, hey, what do you do for a living? And I'll hesitate because, maybe I don't want to get into a longer discussion, whatever it might be. But we have to be willing to do that. We have to be willing to kind of, share the good news no matter where we're at. And so let me begin by how do we share the good news more than anything? We got to be willing to tell our story. We got to be willing to share, how God has kind of impacted our lives. And that's the best pro-life message we can kind of give at the end of the day. I think it was Peter von Kolbach said, when the heart is touched by direct experience, the mind may be challenged to change. And so, when we tell stories, we move people's hearts, and that will challenge people's minds to ultimately change on this issue. But, we might get into some longer conversations with folks, and they'll ask us questions as far as why we believe what we believe. And so over the next couple of weeks, just want to equip ourselves with the kind of pro-life apologetics that is necessary to articulate the culture of life in today's culture, and then challenge ourselves as well to go out and use these tactics. It's kind of like if you're baking a cake, if you put it in the oven and you just leave it there, it's not going to be a very good cake. So once we kind of bake together these apologetics, we got to go out and use them and share them with others. So I'll begin with the conclusion in mind, and that is simply a three-step process here. So here's the conclusion. Number one, abortion is wrong because it kills an innocent human person, the preborn baby. Number two, abortion is wrong because faith, reason, and science all agree. From the moment of conception, a new, unique human being is formed, a human being that deserves human rights. And number three, abortion is wrong because it hurts the mother and father, the brothers and sisters, and all of us, because we are less for not being able to enjoy another human life here on earth. Now, I could jump into all those different categories when it comes to science or our philosophical approach and everything, but what I want to actually start with this morning is to give you questions to ask another individual. It's always better to listen than it is simply to tell. And so if you find yourself in a conversation, you get into it with somebody, I want to give you two questions that you can ask them to kind of set the stage for the conversation. And often when people are asked questions and they actually have to think about the issue and they have to articulate their position in their own words, it gives them time to pause, to think, and maybe then to reevaluate why they believe what they believe. A lot of people just kind of go with the normal talking points. Well, it's just a clump of cells, or it's a woman's body, it's a woman's choice. But by asking them questions, they have to listen to themselves and not just you. So here are the two questions that you can ask somebody when it comes to having one of these conversations. The first question is very simply to ask them, what is the preborn child? When we talk about a pregnancy, well, what is a pregnancy? So you're asking them to define what exactly is it in the mother's womb. And this is important because we know from a scientific perspective that at the moment of fertilization, that child, that baby, is distinct. It's not its mother or father. It's a combination of both. It's living. It's literally growing as we speak. It's human. It's not a giraffe. It's not a dolphin, but it's human, and it's whole as well. Babies aren't put together like cars. All right, let's put together the arms now. No, everything is growing from that single-cell organism that it begins with. So as Dr. Michelle Matthews-Roth from the Harvard Medical School said, it is incorrect to say that biological data cannot be decisive. It is scientifically correct to say that an individual human life begins at conception. So number one, what is the preborn child? What is a pregnancy? Define our terms, and always kind of return to that, because it forces people to say at the end of the day that, yeah, this is human, it's a baby. Now, a lot of people might take the Bill Maher position. If you're familiar with Bill Maher, he says yeah, I believe it's a baby, I just think it's okay to kill it. Well, that's another discussion, that's another argument. We'll get to that in question 2. But we have to get people to acknowledge the humanity of a preborn child in the womb. So now the second question. You're often going to get in these conversations, people are going to bring up a myriad of different reasons why abortion needs to be legal. It could be something as terrible as a sexual assault. It could be something such as poverty, something of that nature that people will justify abortion. They'll say, well, we don't want this child to necessarily grow up in poverty. So here's your second question. Would you kill a born person because of those same situations? And it's what my friend Seth Dreher calls, you bring out the toddler situation. So someone says, well, that child, it's going to grow up poor. It's going to be in poverty. Is that the type of life that you want somebody to have? So you'll simply ask them, well, if there's a 2-year-old who is poor or who's going to grow up in poverty, do you think it's okay to take the life of that two-year-old? Now, most rational people, I've never had a conversation where somebody has said otherwise, will acknowledge, well, no, it's wrong to take the life of a 2-year-old simply because they're going to grow up in poverty. In the same way, then you can walk the individual backwards and say, well, what about at 1 year old or 6 months old or the day before it's born? You can kind of logically walk that individual back. Because here's the acronym to remember. Our size, our level of development, our environment, or degree of dependency does not determine our worth. So the acronym there is SLED. Size, level of development, environment, or degree of dependency. Just because I'm larger than my 2-year-old son does not make me of more worth than my little William. Same thing that, because I'm more developed in my life does not make me of more value than my 7-year-old son in John Paul. Nor does my environment. So whether I'm in a nursing home, I'm in my mother's womb, or I find myself on the battlefield, my environment does not determine my worth. I have the same value inside the womb as I do outside the womb as well. And then degree of dependency. A lot of people will say, well, that child is completely dependent upon its mother's body for its value, its worth, its very life. To which I agree, that it's completely dependent upon its mother, but so is it after it's born as well. So those two questions, I think, are a good start for us to think about. Would you kill a born person because of those same situations? And at the end of the day, what is that child? It's a human person that deserves life.
And that acronym to take with us again, SLED as well. Thank you, Peter, for all that you are doing to stand up for life. Look, it's not always easy, but we're all called to do it. We have to give a defense for the hope that lies within us, and we know what the value of every single human life is. Thank you, brother.